constantly on one time level, and all of my other clocks are going. The computer's full of BS. what don't you understand about this?
Well, I know that GPSs, they have to adjust for the curvature. You know, the satellites being so high above the Earth, they have to adjust, and they lose like a second a year or something. And I'm like, eventually this is going to be where, you know, the computer clock's going to say it's 2028, and we're going to be like, no, it's 2021, computer. You gotta roll back a little bit.
Right. Doesn't the theory of relativity enter into this?
Yeah.
That's the point as well, where it's like, no, by the time the computer at the Greenwich Medium, Greenwich Meridian head office talks to your computer and says, this is what time it is, it's a couple of seconds later.
Yeah. That's why they're supposed to round off. I believe it's like tenths of a second or hundredths of a second, maybe even thousands of a second, like nanoseconds. And every time I read about it, I'm like, I understand why we have to do this, but it's one of those, time's made up. We made it up.
That's right. Yes, it's not like it's an actual reality. It's small r in quotation marks reality. Just because we wanted to know what time it is. And, you're going to have to make something up then. Okay, we'll get right on that. Okay, are we recording?
We are recording.
We are recording. Okay, I actually got a question on a phone message from Ralph S. Here in Kitchener, who leaves me phone messages from time to time. And his question this month was, he was rereading the Sermon on the Chimney in Cerebus. And his question was, is religion coerced? Or is religion inherently coercive? The idea behind, he doesn't love you, he just wants all your money. My answer to that would be, it definitely can be. I think that's one of those, certainly for the longest time, for centuries, we haven't really fully grasped the multiple levels of free will that apply to the question, in the sense that if a minister or somebody purporting to represent God is telling you that God speaks to them personally and God told them what God wanted them to tell you to do, you can use your free will to believe that. And if you use your free will to believe that, it's still your free will that you're using. Just because somebody tells you that God told them to tell you to do something, that doesn't mean that God actually told them to tell you to do something. So that would be coercive in my interpretation, because obviously there's a part of you as God's creation that responds to somebody telling you that God told them to tell you to do something. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that is something that God wants you to do. That's just something that someone is telling you God told you to do. And particularly, in my personal belief system, where there's a wide disparity a night and day disparity between God and YHWH. That if you think that God and YHWH are the same being, then you're going to get into that kind of trouble a whole lot, which I think is one of the things that's going on in our society and has been going on for some time. That YHWH really, really doesn't like human beings, and particularly doesn't like men, and consequently spends a great deal of time telling people this is YHWH, and I'm telling you as YHWH that you're destroying the planet, and you have to stop destroying the planet. You have to essentially everybody kill yourself so that planet Earth can go back to being a completely human being-free environment. And I think a lot of people in very, very good faith are saying, no, Mother Earth is speaking to us and telling us what Mother Earth wants. And we have to do what Mother Earth is telling us to do. And my opinion, again, just a personal opinion, is you don't want to be listening to Mother Earth too much, because Mother Earth really, really, really doesn't like us. So there you go, Ralph. As well, Ralph, I do have your phone number still on hand here on one of my many, many post-it notes, and I will be calling you at some point. Ralph has volunteered to help with house-style renovations here at the Off-White House. I'm just at the point of having to make up a shopping list of what needs to be done as a priority, and that might be a Ralph S. thing, or that might be something that no, Ralph, you don't come into the picture for a little while yet. And particularly in Canada, Southern Ontario, there's really only two seasons: winter and bad sledding. So the amount of time for doing stuff to the outside of the house is severely limited. And but I am hoping to get to the point where I can start dealing with some of those things.
So what you're saying is that you're going to renovate, and it's going to be the marble encrusted. And I'm trying to remember the quote from the last day, and I can't remember it.
No, it's going to be, the priority is really to try and make it a situation where there's no wildlife in the house, because that's sort of the top priority. I do still want to excavate the basement and turn it into the primary spot where the Cerebus archive is housed, all of the correspondence and whatnot. But first things first, the door going into the downstairs, I'm just not going to be able to have an outside door with stairs going up, which would be really, really cool to have, but would be really, really expensive to do. So it's just going to be time to fill in that hole and completely close off what used to be the door where they would deliver the coal or the coal furnace at the house back in the 19th century when the house was first built. So yeah, I'm hoping somewhere maybe in my 80s or something like that we can do some marble encrusted stuff. But, marble encrusted stuff is going to be very, very low on the shopping list.
Well, if the Spawn 10 Kickstarter does gangbusters and sells 1 billion copies.
Yes, I mean, that's what we're all kind of hoping is, if Todd McFarlane could get $3.8 million on Kickstarter. Can we ride those kinds of coattails and really have the Spawn 10 Kickstarter go through the roof, which is starting, I am told, October 6th, which would be my 42nd wedding anniversary, which doesn't really qualify when your marriage only lasted 4 years. But if Denny and I were still married, we would have been married for 42 years when the Spawn 10 Kickstarter is starting. And we're definitely doing our level best to try and attract as much attention to really the only time that Cerebus really showed up on everybody's radar screen in the comic book field, even more than the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover the decade before. So we're kind of hoping that Todd looks at all of the stuff that we're doing and goes, this is really cool. I think I'm going to tell all of my Todd McFarlane fans and all of my Spawn fans, hey, all of you people, go give Dave Sims some money for his Spawn 10 comic books, and we will find out. We are coming up on that point now. Okay, Michael R. of Easton, Pennsylvania says, hi, Matt. Questions for Dave. Hi, Dave. I have read Volume 1 of Strange Death of Alex Raymond once so far, and while reading the book, which had me thinking, was how far did you research when you finally said, hey, I need to draw the next page? That's sort of, there's multiple answers. If you're talking about Volume 1 was done, and then I went straight on to Volume 2, the idea being that they'd be about 110, 112 pages each, back when it was going to be an IDW book. And then I got to about page 80 in Volume 2, and then the wrist problem set in. So that was when I just started mocking up pages and going, okay, how far do I get in the story that I'm telling in the 30 or so pages that Carson's going to do? And got that question answered. And in between those, while I had all of those pages mocked up and Carson had them, and Carson was working on them, then it was, okay, now I'm going back to pure research. And the biggest question that I had was, when did Ward Green stop writing Rip Kirby? Because he did quit the strip at some point, and Fred Dickinson took over the writing on Rip Kirby. And because it wasn't credited, that was a matter of, okay, I'm going to have to try and tell from the stories that are being told here, which one was Ward Green's last story. I think I did figure that part out, and then I wanted to make sure that I had written commentaries for myself on all of Ward Green's Rip Kirby stories, and I actually didn't get to the point of being all the way through to there before it was time to double back and start doing mock-ups for Volume 3. And I got 20 pages of doing mock-ups on Volume 3 when Carson was done Volume 2. And then that was the red alert alarm that, okay, now it's time to start promoting Volume 1, which was when I started working on the Death of a Comic Salesman sales trip to all of the California comic book stores. And then that got scuttled with COVID-19. So I didn't actually get to the end of the research, but now I'm doubling back, and Eddie Kana and I are writing Strange Death of Alex Raymond from the place that I left off in Volume 3, and trying to roadmap it just with captions. Here's the captions, and after I've got captions that Eddie and I can both live with for each sequence that I've got blocked in, then I start plugging in descriptions. This is where a Rip Kirby recreated panel would go, that would go with this caption. And right now there's a lot more captions than there are panels. So I'm having to get kind of cute with different ways of having panels that could illustrate the captions, even though there's not really enough, there's more captions than there are illustrations. And that's going back and forth between Eddie and myself. Right now we're working on the Doll's House sequence, and I asked Eddie to prioritize what he thought were like the top 3 A++ comic art metaphysics. You wouldn't believe that this actually happened, and he came up with those, and I've plugged those into my captions that I had for that sequence, and put one of the things that Eddie thought should be in the narrative, and I thought, no, I think this should go in the annotation. So put that into the annotation. And it's a long process, but it's actually moving along a lot faster than I thought it would. It definitely takes second place right now behind Spawn 10. Anytime Dagan needs something for Spawn 10, Strange Death of Alex Raymond goes right to the back burner, and Spawn 10 goes to the front burner, because I can make money, I think, off of Spawn 10, and I can't make money off of Strange Death of Alex Raymond. Michael R. goes on to say, by the way, I loved the book. It was definitely worth the wait. Sigh, then it was over. I want more. And it's like, well, we always knew that that was going to be a problem with this. The process of creating Strange Death of Alex Raymond is excruciatingly slow, much, much slower than anything I ever did on Cerebus. And yeah, everybody can read a lot faster than I can create, or than Carson and I can create, or than Carson and Eddie and I can create on Strange Death of Alex Raymond. But it's now that the guys, the folks that were interested in having Strange Death of Alex Raymond Volume 1, now you got one, and yes, you can read and reread it. And Michael also says, all that research felt right. The book had a good flow to it. Carson is fabulous. His bridging artwork is seamless with yours. It's definitely the two styles dovetail nicely. I still got some problems with the way he drew the 1920 Ward Green. I want to redraw that one at some point. And there's another panel in Volume 2 that I would want to redraw. But theoretically, as long as we all stay alive and we all stay healthy, we should be able to do Strange Death of Alex Raymond fitfully from if anybody is interested, I'm pretty sure Eddie Kahn has still got another 200 copies of the fundraising edition. So if you just contact him and get $50 to him and postage on top of that, there's no real demand for this book. It's really, really specialized, but the people that love it are definitely going to love it. So there you go on that one.
I got done reading my copy, and I emailed Eddie going, "This is great. So when are we going to get volume 2?" And he responded going, "Ha ha ha."
Yes, definitely, because this was one of those. When I realized, okay, this just isn't going to be possible, my solution was just to refund the money for everybody on the fundraising edition. It'll take me a little while to pay everybody back, but I'll just pay everybody back. And Eddie said, "Oh, can't we do the books somehow? Can't I do the book so that these people have been waiting so long?" It's like, okay, remember that this was your idea. By all means, you do the books for all of these people, and I think Eddie's learned his lesson. Yes, this is just a money pit. There is absolutely no way to make money from Strange Death of Alex Raymond for anybody, and anybody who tries to make money off of Strange Death of Alex Raymond, that's going to be their reaction anytime we go, "When can we get the next?"